Good day, ladies and gentlemen. The name is Omojesu Alfred, and of course, I'm seeing the Swag King. I'm seeing the boss of all bosses, and I happens to be among the very most innocent guys on the face of planet Earth. Like the Caesar always tell people, I came, I saw, and of course, I conquer. Because the street refused to go to church, I made up my mind that I was definitely going to take the church to the street, not only that I may replicate the whole lot of swag. Of course, I have an amazing guest with me right here at the studio. Yes, he's a well-known face. But before I introduce him to you, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to go on a very short break, so go nowhere because I will be right back.
A touch from God Ministries, aka Encounter Center, with Apostle Dr. Tony IKALAMA. Weekly activities Tuesday, fasting and prayer 8 a.m. to 12 noon. Counseling 12 noon to 4 p.m. Fridays, evening with the Lord 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. A night with God 12 midnight to 3 a.m. Sunday, gracious service 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Second service 10 a.m. to 12 noon. A night with God every second and last Friday of the month 10 p.m. till dawn. You can locate us at number 7 Mini Chinda Street, Elimbu, Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria. Motto, salvation. You can follow us on Facebook at Touch TV and YouTube Touch TV. Don't forget to subscribe for more details. Or you can call the church line 0703-259-6965 or 0909-537-9149. Worship with us and your life will never remain the same. Jesus is Lord.
Hello everyone, this is Swag TV International. I know you've been enjoying our online TV programs, but if you're new here, you can subscribe to our YouTube channels, like our videos, comment, and please don't forget this part. Tap, click, touch the notification bell to get notified on our new videos. You can also follow us on our social media handles. On Facebook, Swag TV International. On Instagram, Swag TV_International. Stay locked to that screen. Don't go anywhere. Swag TV, giving back to the nation.
Now, welcome back from the break. The name is in Omojesu Alfred. Right there on set with me is, of course, our regular face, Reverend Apostle Tony. Yeah, Apostle Tony. Now, somebody used to say something about me. Okay, cultures and traditions sometimes make you design words that proceed out of your mouth. Okay, but I think I'm going to walk through that, and I'm going to pray to God not to allow those things to affect me, not in this place or not in the year to come. Apostle Tony, how's everything, sir?
Thank you, Omojesu. The Lord bless you.
The Lord bless you too, sir. Last week we actually looked at the importance of tithe and offering, and this week we are saying, what are the pastors living on? Because everybody goes like, without the tithe and offering, the pastors will not survive. Okay, that is like the word in the lips of 80%, or let me say 60% of the world population, talking about the tithe and offering and the church. Okay, now during the COVID-19 period season, we heard a lot of persons saying something like, the pastors are angry because there is no more tithes. Now we want you to explain to us, tell us, do the pastors live on the tithe and offering, or they have other means of livelihood, not the tithes?
The pastors does not entirely live on tithes and offering.
Okay.
Majority of the pastors has other sources of income. Just like if you say so tribe are bad people,
All right.
it does not mean that they are entirely 100% bad.
Okay.
But maybe it could be the norm, or maybe 70%.
Okay.
And you say this tribe are good, not all 100% are good. So in every situation or society, you must have bad eggs. We agree to that.
All right.
But the pastors does not entirely live on tithe, but it's just as you are in charge of a team. It's your duty to give disparity to where it belongs.
Okay.
And if God has also said in his word and said that his portion belongs to the Levites, belongs to the priest. So which means that which belongs to God is what the priests are taking. And that's why he said to them, he said, you don't have an inheritance with your people. with the other 11 tribes. So they are entitled to eat from the tithe. Yeah, the pastors are entitled to eat from it. But the eating from the tithe is not the primary thing. If you read your Malachi 3:8-10, it says, so that there will be meat in my house, in my storehouse. So the primary thing is meat to be in the house of God. It's just the question you ask me is like asking the government, saying that government from taxation, do the government eat from taxation or not? That's the kind of question you ask me. Now, every government eats from taxation. Yes, it's from taxation they give good roads, power, water, and all the rest. So also the pastor is entitled with the tithe to make sure there is provision in the house of God. The house, the Bible calls the house of God the house of all nations. Yeah. Where you meet different kind of people. So if the government even want to reach to the people, the church reaches to the people more than the government. Oh, okay. So that is a factor where the pastor is in charge to distribute this tithe to people who are hungry, the destitute, the orphans, because they can easily reach them one-on-one. So the pastor has more burden than the individual who stays in his house. Everybody calls the pastor for assistance, for help. It's from the same tithe, the tithe house. I call it tithe house. Okay. That the pastor dips his hand to take care of them does not necessarily mean that the pastor is from the tithing or solely depend on it. As like I rightly said in the book of Acts chapter 17, verse 33-35, St. Paul asks them the same notion, which is all going as you ask now in the street and in the world, that pastors are eating from it. The same notion, and St. Paul said, you all know how my hand has succeeded for my needs and for those who are with me. So St. Paul was not eating from the tithe. He also has a source of income. He was a tent maker, a craft maker, and he was eating from there. So also, which means he's also a tither. Because tithing is income. So as he receives, he also pays tithe. So pastors pay tithe. Sometimes I won't lie to you, the tithe the pastor pays is even bigger and higher than even the members put together what they pay. Wow. Yes, I'm telling you the truth. And the pastors most times pay the highest tithe. Pays the highest tithe, yes. And nobody wants to talk about that. No. You understand? Nobody wants to talk about that because the pastors understand that when your right hand is giving yes, your left hand not no. You understand that principle? So nobody wants to talk about that. But the pastor's pay is higher. Oh. The Levites are those called servants of God, who 100% dedicate their life to the service of God. 100% dedicate their life to the service of God. So what they do day in and day out is the service of God. Like we saw when Zechariah went in at the 3rd hour to lit up the candle on the altar. That was his, and the Bible considers his priestlyhood services. So this is the work. They make sure there's light in the house of God. They make sure everything, they live their livelihood is about the house of God, not their personal own. So those are people he calls Levites. I said, fine. It's just as I said, that the pastors do not entirely depend on the tithe. When you ask, I said, who are the Levites? Yes, I was expecting you to ask me that question. Who are the Levites? Yeah. The present-day Levites, modern-day Levites. The modern-day Levites are the pastors who have dedicated, yes, the pastors who have dedicated themselves to do the service of God, day in and day out. Yes, and when you fall within this category, then you are doing the service of the Levites. Those are the Levites, present-day Levites. So, if in some churches these days you have part-time pastors and you have full-time pastors. Yeah. So if you have full-time pastors, which are the full dedication of 100% service I'm talking about, now that is from where the senior pastor in charge, as I said, there must be a custodian, also pays them from, they must be paid from there. So, like I said, the taxation is for provision of power, water, good roads. So, the custodian of the church also takes from there and pay them. Because it's just like if we have so much money in revenue, the government borrows from there and puts it into another sector. So it's the entitlement of the governor or the president to do that. So it's also the entitlement of the chief custodian to know who to touch and pay for the service of God. Okay.
No, so are the pastors the only Levites we have for now? Are they the only one? Or do we have other people that we don't even know that are meant to be eating from the tithe and offering?
Somebody will not just walk on the road and give himself a position. Okay. There must be an umbrella. Okay. So for what we know is the pastors, those who have committed themselves, dedicated themselves to this service of God. Yes, you call them pastors. Some can call bishop, apostle, because I said there are fivefold office. You have the you have the evangelist, you have the teacher, you have the pastor, you have the prophet, and you have the apostle. Any of these fivefold office. Yeah, you know, in social we say workers. But this worker, is he working somewhere? Or is he completely, if the person is doing the work of God completely, 100%, do not have source of income, that person falls under the umbrella of the church for the church to take care of such person.
That is the person is working in the church.
In the church, yes.
Okay.
And doing the services of God.
Okay.
Voluntarily.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, in a nutshell, you are saying that the pastors have the right to eat from the tithes.
Yes. Because the Lord said to them, He said, my portion belongs to you.
Okay.
So they have the portion of God.
Okay, so we're not paying our tithes, we're harming ourselves. So it doesn't matter when we pay our tithes or not. It doesn't matter, because God is definitely going to feed His people if we refuse to pay our tithes.
If we refuse to pay tax, the system of government will collapse.
Yes.
So if we refuse to pay our tithe, that means we want the system structure of God to collapse.
Talking about this tithe, how important this tithe is.
The tithe is as important as the air we breathe.
Because if we don't know the importance of tithes, we can be deceiving ourselves, lying to ourselves, hurting our own self, and at the same time hurting the body of Christ. So how important? So we don't end up stealing from ourselves, because a lot of us with the mentality will say, oh, I cannot give the pastor my money. I'm a Christian, know that, but I know where my money should be, not in pastor. Now, some of us, maybe because of the experiences from the past, had issues, okay, and we decide to tell ourselves to say, this thing, we are not doing it again. Now, there's a topic for that, but that will be on our next session, okay, talking about people that get angry, get offended, and leave the church because why they are angry, why they are offended. So it's that they go to start up new churches. We've seen a lot of new churches swimming up because of, oh, I think it's due for me to be a pastor, and they didn't treat me right. It's unfair, and I need to go and start my own. And we're going to talk about that in our next discussion. But right now we are focusing more on the tithe and the offering. I'm telling you, tell us how important in details. Now, you say it's as important as the air we breathe. Yes, but what is the disadvantage? The disadvantage is something we should look at clearly. Why must I, if I'm giving my offering and my tithe to the less privileged ones, to the orphanage, why must I retrieve it back and say, no, I've been doing the wrong thing since, I need to do it the right way now?
The tithe, as I said, is one of the laws of God.
Yeah.
And the essence why God gave us the laws, 614 laws, is, He said, testing man whether man will obey Him or not. So if you obey Him, you have life eternal.
Yeah.
And if you disobey Him, then hell is bound.
Yeah.
So the essence of tithe is keeping the laws of God. So it's as important as, because I said, disobedience is a sin of witchcraft.
Okay.
And sin of witchcraft is a sin of idolatry.
Okay.
And these are things God hates.
Yeah.
Understand? So we cannot disobey God. If you don't pay your tithe, it's like disobeying God. And if you don't pay your tithe, it's like a farmer that has seeds of tubers of yam.
Yeah.
And after harvesting, you keep it at the barn.
Okay.
You never sow it. It stays in the barn 1 year, 2 years. After a time, it will rot.
Yeah.
The insect will go into it and it get rot. So if you don't pay your tithe, just like I said, he's not going to rebuke the devourer for your sake.
Okay.
So the devourer will come and eat the seed, the tuber of yam you are keeping at the barn.
Okay.
So after the cankerworm or caterpillar or whatever insect has eaten it, it will rot. You no longer have tuber or seed to plant.